I've got one tremendous broadcast for you today. Three friends directly back from Digital Dealer Conference in Vegas. This is going to be absolutely spectacular. The boys from Searchlab in the house, starting with the newest addition to Searchlab, Dane Saville. Dane, how you doing?
I am doing well, sir. How are you today?
I couldn't be more excited than to see you with this team. How was Digital Dealer?
It was great. Great conversations. Greg delivered an awesome presentation as expected, which generated a lot of buzz both at the booth and with a lot of requests for scoring, which I know we're going to make mention of today. But just a lot of great conversations, really well attended, had a great time. And of course, I got to really meet the Searchlab leadership team more and really get more ingratiated with them. And it was just a really awesome experience.
There is such a thing as a Searchlab digital leadership team. Okay. And the founder himself, the originator, the guy that created Searchlab, Mark Bealin. Hey, big guy.
Hey, it's good to be back with you, Jim. How have you been?
Well, everything is going great. I wish I'd have been in Vegas with you. I hear you guys tore the town apart.
Something like that. Yeah, I mean, we did something like that. We had a really good show, a lot of good conversations. There was a lot of people there. Felt like everybody was normal, and really good show for us. So we're excited to talk about it.
And the crown prince of local SEO, the man himself, Greg Gifford. How you doing, big guy?
I'm doing well, my friend. It's always good to see you.
Oh, it's always good to be seen and good to see you. Tell me about Digital Dealer. How'd it go?
It was awesome. I think it's probably, if not the biggest one ever, one of the biggest ones ever. There were a ton of dealers there. We had a nice steady stream the whole time at the booth. A lot of times we don't really see as many people until after I've spoken. And we had a ton of people. I didn't speak till the second day. And we had a ton of people come by the first day and had some awesome conversations. So it was a really good show for us.
Yeah, because your presentation is never a measurement of how successful something is, because you get all the attendees in your session. But I understand that there was a crowd, a lot of decision makers there, a lot of dealer principals. People are ready to get out and start selling again. Inventory's coming back.
Yep.
And
that was a big theme of everybody was talking about the fact that, for the last couple of years, everybody kind of just kicked back and not really try and still sell a lot of cars. And now all of a sudden people are scrambling going, geez, we kind of forgot how to sell and what to do. We need to get back in the saddle.
Because the last couple of years, the whole focus has been on recruiting employees for the service department, getting more inventory, buying inventory from the public. And now all of a sudden people are starting to advertise to sell cars again. What do you think, Dane?
Yeah, I mean, as things supply chain clears up and everything, and people are getting more inventory, it's getting even back to basics. It's making sure that even the fundamentals are in place. So it's really an exciting time to really have those conversations again about dealers ramping up, making sure they're the ones being found in those local searches. So it's an exciting time for sure.
If you don't get found, you are invisible. You don't exist. Oh, well, what's new? Well, okay, besides Dane Saville coming aboard, I mean, that news rocked the industry. I mean, everybody was talking about it. I mean, it was a conversation in the restrooms. Hey, did you hear Dane Saville is now with Searchlab? I mean, everybody talking about it. What's new with Searchlab? I'll start with Dane, and then I'll go to Mark.
Well, what's new is just, I guess really it's the renewed conversations and getting re-engaged with dealers on what they need to be doing to be found in, like I said, in those local searches. So it's really just even having a conversation of those fundamentals. Do you have the pieces in place to have that visibility for the demand that's coming, in your local market, and really championing the right signals for the local algorithm to be there, to connect with those consumers. Even from, talking to them about, getting back into conversations about being there for the discovery phase. So it's not just about when they're ready to purchase the car, but even being top of mind from consideration, discovery down to like 30 days out to purchase.
Well, how come you left Mark Irvine at home?
Well, I want him to be out here. He's a probably be a crowd, and we still got him going too. So for those watching who don't know Mark's a luminary in the PPC, as noteworthy as these two guys are on the SEO side of things. So our PPC division is growing 100% year over year, Jim. We're very popular in the automotive space. Like, amazing to see what he took over to where it is now. And he worked well with this team. So he and Greg bounce ideas off each other. They have a front row seat to watch those two like really genius people work for 2 years has been awesome for me.
We got the king of PPC and we got the king of local SEO. The king of PPC, the king of local SEO. I mean, you guys are rocking and rolling, and now you got Mickey Gambino aboard. I mean, absolutely.
And so
I saved you for last.
I'm like Barry Gordier. So
I saved you last in this conversation, Greg. Greg, I saved you last in this conversation because you got some announcements to make. Talk to me.
Well, we want to announce that Dane is here, but we kind of spoiled that already since he's on the broadcast. But also, one of the things that I talked about in my presentation is this scoring matrix. And I've been using this scoring matrix for years at 20 groups. And it's basically a down and dirty, really quick tactical SEO audit. And for a big portion of my presentation at Digital Dealer, I talked about all the things that we've uncovered looking at the audits that we've done. And so I took every audit that I've personally done in the last year, which was 512 websites. And we were able to kind of talk about what's actually being done on the SEO side of things across 500 plus dealerships. And I want to get more and more dealers audited so that we've got better data to help people next year as we're talking at conferences. So
okay, now
the URL displayed right there. Anybody that's watching, whether you're watching live right now or whether you're watching the replay later, you can go to that URL, put your information in. It's not going to be any sort of marketing message. This is 100% because we just want more data to help dealers be better at SEO. So just go to this URL, put in your website or websites if you have multiple sites in the group. We'll score them and we'll get with you and explain the score so that you have a better handle on what your SEO looks like.
Okay, let's dive a little deeper. That's 30,000 feet. What exactly does this audit measure?
So it's a tactical audit, not a strategic audit, because if it was strategic, it would be more about, are you doing SEO the right way? And we could give that to a dealer and the dealer could take it to his own in-house SEO guy or to his current vendor. And that person could refute it and say, oh, that's the Searchlab way of doing SEO. Our way is different. This is better. So instead, we went at a really basic tactical level. So it's the simple SEO 101 foundational things that anybody that knows SEO would agree these things should be done. So it looks at 4 areas. It looks at the content on your site and how it's optimized. It looks at the links that are pointed to your website. And it looks at your Google My Business and how that's optimized. And it looks at your reviews and how you respond to your reviews on Google and Yelp. And those are all weighted to approximate the value of each of those areas to the algorithm. So the on-site section is worth up to 44 points. The link section is up to 10 points. The Google My Business is up to 32 points. And the reputation section is up to 14. So that ends up giving each dealership a score on a scale of 0 to 100. And realistically, 100's pretty much impossible. I mean, it could be done, but there's some things with different websites that you can and can't do. So really, anybody that's doing good SEO should be in the range of 80 to 90. And the average score that we're seeing is a 22.5. So it's not great.
Okay, Dane, I want to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
I pick up the phone. I call Dane Saville, and what is your sales pitch? Why would I do business with this company?
Well, I can give you one specific. Jim, the thing is that Searchlab does things deliberately. So let me dive into that a little bit more. Is that the company's willing to do things that other agencies don't, and I know that personally. One of those things is the local link building that link profile. It's a lot more difficult to conceive, craft, and publish content to then do outreach to acquire organic local links. Again, the keyword there being local, right? Championing that local algorithm. It's a lot more difficult to do that deliberate work than just saying, hey, here's a new blog, here's a new piece of content, just because. Everything is strategically, deliberately crafted to ensure that we're doing everything that we can to really champion the dealer and their local presence. So Searchlab does the work that other agencies just aren't willing to.
Okay, very good. Now that's a short version. Give us the long version, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is the mindset that's different than everybody else. So everything about us is customized. Nothing at Searchlab is going to be cookie cutter, a package A, package B, package C, which is how a lot of our competition does it. What we want to do is look at what you're trying to accomplish as a dealership. Are you looking for more used car sales? Are you looking for more new car sales? And develop a strategy around your specific needs. And so our knowledge, our foundation in local SEO that can track all those dealers works, but we really want to tailor a solution around the specific needs of that dealer. And that separates us from just about all the other competitors in the space.
Wait a minute. I know you are a fairly large company. You are customizing for each dealer?
That's right. So, and that's true on the PPC side, and that's true on the SEO side. So when you walk around and you examine like the other competitors in the space, a lot of them will have, this is the package. This is what we're going to do. These are the things we're going to do for you. Is that how it works here? And so we really want to make sure that we're measuring it doesn't mean we don't have processes. It doesn't mean we don't have best practices the right way, but it does mean we listen more carefully than our competition. It does mean that we want to really understand the needs of the specific dealer and then come up with strategies and tactics that are going to help them win.
Jim, and part of that's possible because we cap our consultant to dealer ratio at 10. And a lot of even other agencies that claim to be boutique are looking at 20 to 25, 30 dealers per consultant ratio.
Wait a second. Wait a minute. 10 dealers, one consultant on your staff.
And that one person does everything for them. That's another big differentiator is a lot of the agencies have like a team-based approach. So some people will write some content. Some people will optimize the content. Some people might do some stuff on Google My Business. Then the person that the dealer talks to is just an account manager, and their job is just to talk to a bunch of different dealers, and they don't actually do any of the work. A lot of times they don't even know who the dealers are because at some of the bigger agencies, let's not name names, but you guys all know who the big ones are, the .coms of the world. They'll have 100+ dealers per person. So if you do the math on that, that's maybe an hour and a half a month of time that you get, including that phone call that you're doing. So with us, one person does everything. So they're doing the analysis of the dealership and their local footprint. They're creating the strategy and they're executing everything on that strategy. And that's the person that the dealers talk to. So it's better from a customer service standpoint as well.
Fantastic. So you just mentioned Google My Business. Google Profile, same thing?
Google Business Profile is the stupid new name. It's the worst rebrand in the history of rebrands. Google did not think it through very well. We're all probably going to call it Google My Business for the next year or two at least.
I will always do that.
Google
I learned
Business
that from
Profile
you.
is the new official name.
Okay, why Google Business Profile? Why would anybody even fool with it?
That's an excellent question.
Of course it
didn't
is.
need to be changed. They also didn't think well about it. I was in the UK 2 weeks ago speaking at a conference over there, and the abbreviation used to be G&B for Google My Business. Very easy to roll off the tongue. GBP is different because you have another consonant hard break in there, so it's harder to say that acronym. Plus, GBP is the abbreviation for money in the UK. Great British Pound or Great Britain Pound, whatever the GB, I don't know. But GBP is literally what you abbreviate money over there. So every time somebody's saying GBP, you have to think about the context. Are they talking about dollars or are they talking about Google business profiles? Like, it's not well thought out.
Well, what about Google? What about Google business profiles? Why would a dealer even be concerned with it?
Oh, it's their first impression with any potential customer. Anybody that looks for them by name, they're going to get the first impression off of the Google business profile, not off the website. And it's also what allows a dealer to show up in the map pack, which is on mobile, the map's still on top. On desktop, the map got moved over to the side. But the map with the 3 results or Google Maps, you're not going to show up well there or at all there if you don't have a well-optimized business profile. So it's a hugely important key piece of showing up for potential customers.
If somebody was listening to the broadcast on the original broadcast, or even on the replay, and they were to call you right now, and they called you at this number,
or they could text us at that number.
Text you at that number.
No, it works both ways. They can call or text that number.
And what would happen when they text that number?
So we've got a really cool texting feature on the site now. So that goes basically to a dashboard, and then one of either our sales team or myself or Mark or Dane will see it in that dashboard and pop a reply back, and we can set up a time.
That's what I was looking for. You get an instantaneous reply.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you're watching the broadcast right now, pay attention. You can call that number or text that number, and instantaneously. Don't watch the broadcast. Hey, get off the computer and call the number, text the number, and talk to the people at Searchlab.
You're not going to get an instant reply if they call, because Mark's there and Mark's not going to stop talking on the broadcast if they're calling right now. But if they text right now, one of us can pop over and text while the other one's talking.
Dane, you spoke at Digital Dealer, is that correct?
I did.
What was the subject of your presentation?
So I got to co-present with Brent Weiss, a longtime friend, a good guy, and we talked about we called it the Smackdown series. So we're coming up with two sort of like buzzwords or keywords, and we kind of battled out with teams of dealers. So it was content marketing versus paid advertising. And really the crux of it all, even as we went through all the different pieces, planning, expectations on both sides, the crux of it was really that there's cohesion there, right? There's a lot of synergy between, SEO, PPC, your content marketing, your other efforts, and even efforts that are, beyond that scope as well. Other means, modes, channels of advertising. There's just a lot of cohesion there that I think a lot of dealers don't capitalize on. So even though we kind of put them at odds, we really kind of told the story of there's really a partnership between the two.
And Greg, what was your theme?
So it was horror movies this time, because hey, it's almost Halloween. You had to go with horror movies. So it was
okay. Well, the good news is you finally got your sleeve finished, didn't you?
Actually, I finish it tomorrow. I mean, it's basically done, but I got to fill in like empty spaces like that. So I can't point backwards.
Okay. Well, who else have you added to the sleeve since we were on last?
I've got the alien face hugger right there.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love that.
And then the tail comes out and like, where to get it on the screen? The tail comes out and like wraps all around and stuff. You may not have seen Rick Moranis.
No, I didn't. Yeah, okay.
Horrors, and then Pee Wee Herman right there. So those are new since I've seen you. So yeah, I go in tomorrow, or not tomorrow. I go in Wednesday and I fill in all the. Oh, I got Clouseau too. Check out. You probably haven't seen Clouseau. Oh, wrong way.
I see it.
Really hard to do backwards.
Love it.
There we go.
There it is. Pink Panther.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I go in Wednesday and I'm filling in all the empty spots to make it one cohesive piece, and then I'll be done with the sleeve. And then at some point after Christmas, I don't know, his books are closed until February, so I'll make some appointments now for sometime in the spring, and I'll be doing my fingers, and so that'll be 2 more appointments in the spring, and then I'll start on my left leg and sleeve that up. That'll be the next couple of years.
Hey, Greg, you talk about a blank canvas.
Yeah. I don't think I'm ever going up there.
Hey,
Of
Mike
course,
Tyson.
you know, I say that now. I said for years I would never do my hands, and then now both my hands are done, and I said I would never do my fingers. I'm about to have all my fingers done. So, you know, once I run out of space, it might be let's do a little bit on the head or something. We'll see.
Yeah, Mike Tyson, you know.
I don't think I'd ever do face.
Right.
I don't think I would do head, but you know.
Hey. What have we not told people about Searchlab that you'd really like the public to know and the dealers to know, Mark?
Well, I think one of the things is we mentioned about the customization on the SEO side, but that's the same way we approach PPC. And so everything we do here is about customization. And when you work with us doing both those things, it has an enhanced effect. So it is a force multiplier to do SEO and PPC with us. So when our teams work together, and Mark Urban, 1 + 1 no longer equals 2, right? You're gonna get more value when you do those two things. And very simply, this is a great time because as much as I want to help dealers all the time, and when there's low inventory, we'll help you with fixed apps, we'll help you with used cars. But now it's getting exciting again because there's nothing better than cars, and the way that people are going to be finding them is on search engines. So we want to be everywhere. We want to be in the paid section of. We want to be in the local, and we want to make sure we're in the organic listings as well. And if you hire a team, have all your bases covered on search marketing. And so I really want to encourage people, if you're interested in learning more, not just our SEO package is fantastic, but also our PT package is award-winning. It's it's led by this luminary Mark Urban, and we want to encourage people to do both SEO and PPC as can.
Let's talk about something important. How's your Search and Suds broadcast doing?
It's going great. You know, I know. So what has been really helpful I met Dane on that show. So I didn't know him before that show. And then since then, we've started a friendship.
Come
I see
on.
him on social media. Yeah, so that was my first time meeting him, was on the show. And he's a great podcaster in his own right. So
What is the search? Is it Search and Suds?
Suds and Search. Yeah, the other way around.
Suds and Search. Where can they find that podcast?
It comes out every single week on our blog, and so it comes out on Thursdays. It's also you can subscribe
the
to our
blog. I
YouTube
want to get
channel.
around to the blog. Okay, now we're cooking.
Yeah.
Where can they find the blog, Dane?
On the website.
On the website that's on the screen right now?
Searchlabdigital.com.
Fantastic. And tell us about the blog. What benefit can a dealer or a dealership employee gain from visiting your blog?
There's going to be different topics being addressed. I mean, we share different content. You have the local search Tuesdays, you have Suds and Search. I'll eventually pick back up on podcasting once I kind of figure out how to reorient things again and get back into it. It's just, there's just different valuable topics that, they're going to be relevant to dealers in terms of different tactics, strategies, thought leadership. So it's really just an opportunity for Searchlab's thought leadership to get out there, sharing different insights, things that we're seeing. So, there's a lot more, I'm sure, to come. I've been talking with members of our team about, how I can contribute as well myself. So, definitely stay tuned to a lot of different stuff coming out in the near future.
Greg, what kind of articles have you put up on the blog?
None. I hate to write. That's why I do a video.
Oh, quit it.
No, really, I hate writing now. That's why I do a weekly video series. I'd much rather do video and have something a little bit more engaging and fun than writing stuff. I do write stuff every once in a while, but lately, I mean, I can't remember the last time I wrote a post for our blog because I'm always doing that video content. One of the things we are working on right now, though, is a really massive research project where we used a tool called Places Scout that allowed us to pull a bunch of data points across a whole lot of Google business profiles. So it was 8,500 Google business profiles across 3 different verticals. We did car dealers, we did personal injury attorneys, and we did cannabis dispensaries, so that it ended up being over 1.62 million data points across all of these profiles. So then we could start to look and see patterns. So we could see, you know, the average number of reviews for a car dealership is 979.5. The average number of questions asked in the Q&A section to a car dealer is 6.2, even though dealers aren't answering those questions. So we can see a lot of different things in there. Google posts are really effective.
Wait a minute, you just snidely said although dealers aren't answering those questions. Where are you leading with that?
Well, a lot of dealers aren't paying attention to it. There's things that you could do to your Google business profile to make it stand out and to make it convert better, and a lot of dealers aren't doing it. Something like half of the dealers we looked at, and so of all the dealers we looked at, we pulled out all of the parts and service department listings, so we're only looking at the primary dealership profile, and something like half of the dealers haven't done a single Google post in the last 12 months. And Google posts are basically free ads that show in your profile. Why would you not do them? But a lot of dealers aren't doing them. A lot of dealers are only, something like 27% of the dealers only selected a single category, and every dealer should have 10. There are more than 10 categories that apply to sales. So every dealer for sure should have 10 categories selected, and a lot of them don't. So there's a lot of mistakes that are being made.
10 categories of what?
So in your Google business profile, you can select the categories of business that you serve. So there's 10 slots. You can choose up to 10 categories. Most businesses don't have 10 that apply. So most businesses may have as few as 1 or 2, or may have 4 or 5. But for car dealers, there are more than 10 sales-related categories that they could have selected. And a whole lot of dealers don't have 9 or 10 categories. They have 2 or 3 or 4, or even 1.
Well, who would do that for the dealer?
It should be their marketing partner, or it should be the dealer themselves. There's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, I've talked about it in every presentation. George Nettie talks about it all the time. There's a lot of people out there talking about the importance of selecting the right categories.
Well,
George Nettie even created
you guys
a plugin.
Oh
yeah, we handle that. All that is handled by what our team does for the dealers that we work with.
I sort of was leading there, yes. So in other words, if you need to get this handled and your internal people aren't handling it and your marketing company isn't handling it, the question is, first of all, why not? And the second question is, do you guys do it?
Oh, yeah, we do it. And the really big question is, for dealers that don't have that handled, is why are you either A, ignoring something that is hugely impactful to your visibility and searches, and B, if you're not ignoring it, you either have somebody in-house that's supposed to be doing it, or a vendor partner that's supposed to be doing it, which means you're spending money on something that's not getting done, even though you're spending money to have that thing done. And that's a big problem.
Well, how about the exclusivity of a dealer? I mean, you got 10 Ford dealers in a market. Are you doing business with all 10 of them?
Just one of them.
No, wait.
Doesn't make sense. You have this big problem with the OEM.
Now.
You're going to start me on my.
You made that up. You made that up. That couldn't.
No. You're going to start me on this whole Shift Digital rant and OEM approved vendor system. It doesn't make sense. You'll end up in markets like Dallas, for example, has 24 dealerships just in the Dallas market. You end up with more than 10. You'll end up with 12, 13, or 14 of those dealers using the same vendor for SEO, which doesn't make sense because there's only really about, technically there's 13 spots that a dealer could show up in on page 1 search results, because you've got the 3 in the map pack and then the 10 regular blue links. But you've got autotradercars.com. You take out those third-party sites, there's really only about 7 or 8 spots in any city that dealers could show up in. So if you've got more than 7 or 8 dealers using the same vendor, then you've got dealers that are paying the same amount of money to show up on page 2. And that doesn't make sense. Like, there's only one number 1. So that doesn't make sense.
Well, Dane, you've been around the market. How good is this company?
Why do you think I'm here? Because it's just that good.
Well, the obvious answer is they paid you, but other than that.
Well, I've known Greg a long time and followed Greg, and he teaches SEOs how to do SEO, and I'm not at that level. I thought sitting under Greg's learning tree personally would be an awesome growth opportunity. And as I learned more about the company, as I went through the interview process, number one, I learned about what a good culture they have. I told Mark while we were at Digital Dealer, I was just so impressed with the team he has put together. And I sensed that from the interview process. Believe me leaving a previous company was not an easy thing to do. But when I talked to them, I found out it was the right thing to do. So not only is it the strategies and tactics, it's also the care that Searchlab has for all of their partners. And I've
talked to your
genuinely.
clients. People like you guys.
Well, I
hope so.
We try really hard to make sure they do.
Yeah, but Dane just said he's sitting at the feet of the master. I'm picturing the old Kung Fu series, and he snatches the pebble from your hand and
take the bottle cap from my hand.
Oh golly! Oh, do you have a David Carradine tattoo?
I do not.
There you go.
Silly boy.
That'd be cool.
Kill Bill, Kung Fu. That's another conversation, but still. Why SEO, Greg? Why SEO?
Because everybody needs it. It's super important to every vertical out there, not just car dealers. And honestly, I fell into SEO because I was doing flash design years and years and years ago. And so when I left the place that I did some interviews in the Dallas area, and it came down to either working at Match.com or working at a company called Autorevo that does websites for independents. And I just vibed better with the guys at Autorevo. And so I went there, and I'd already kind of gotten into SEO before that, and then really got into it there and ended up pivoting off of doing their marketing to starting up an SEO department because I just fell in love with SEO. And it's always changing because Google's doing the updates. So it's good job security, but it's also fun because you're not just doing the same thing over and over. You've got to update and adapt as time goes by. And it's really cool on a personal side to have a job where, somebody's putting their kids through college and somebody's paying their mortgage, and somebody's paying for food on the table because of the uplift and visibility that we've given them.
Fantastic. Continue with that a second. Mark, why SEO? Why do you guys consider SEO to be the ultimate form of marketing and advertising?
Yeah, this is where people are looking. So you said at the beginning, if you can't be found, you're very surely lost, and you will lose to your competition. I started out in this in 2007, and I already got bought by the Yellow Pages. So that's how far back I go working with small businesses. The Yellow Pages are gone. The print media stuff is gone. Today, your customer is online, and they're going to use the engine to find you. And to look at the growth of this industry in the 15 years I've been doing it is nothing short of amazing. And now, as you kind of look at where customers are finding their opportunities, and Dane said it really well. What I love SEO is it's at every stage of the marketing funnel. So if they're just considering, if they're the discovery phase, they're going to be on a search engine. Google tells us that the average car purchaser goes on Google 27 times before they buy a car. And so they're going to go through that process on a search engine all the way through. That's true. Yeah.
27?
27 times they're going to go to a search engine on average, right? There's an example of somebody who went on like 160 times buying like a Hyundai. So it's important that you're involved at every stage of that. And so when I look at our content plans, Greg, I wish I could take credit for this, but Greg has done a really good job of finding out how do you get involved in your local community so you can do some of that billboard effect in our content. And we have sort of middle of the funnel packages, middle of the funnel content, and then we're there when they're ready to buy as well. So we're looking at every stage of that funnel. And SEO is just like it's exploded because it works. And so that's why I think our popularity and our the way that we've grown is because we do really good work for people. I appreciate the feedback you gave us. We do try and be good to our clients, and we do try to have like a good. But if we weren't delivering results, we wouldn't stay in business, right? It's not just like trying to be nice.
How do you give exclusivity to a brand in a market?
How do you not give exclusivity to a brand in a market? That's the better question.
I think there's an ethical question here, right? So if I learn something, right? Let's say I'm running to use Greg's example, a Ford dealer in Dallas. We have one, and now I've learned a lot about that market, and I have a bunch of like proprietary knowledge that I have on this client who's been paying me for a while. Then I take their competitor. I can now just jumpstart the whole process because I've had all that learning from the first client. I can use all those tactics and strategies on the next one, and that's not right. I don't believe that's correct, and I think ethically that's a troubling area. And so when I really got into auto, and
well, what's the ethic? What's ethics got to do with a marketing company in the car business? Ethics. Why would you have to have ethics? I mean, there's a lot of shifts out there, you know.
I'm telling you, when I got into it, I didn't realize how devious it could be. I didn't realize like some of these programs existed and what was going on. So really, what I want to do is what I want to do is be able to sleep at night. I want to be looking at myself in the mirror. I want to make sure that we have an ethical company that delivers value for our clients. And so I can do that with these two guys, our team, our whole leadership team, the people who work here. I sleep well at night because I know when we make mistakes, it's not because we didn't try our best. We didn't try to be ethical. And very, very rarely do we make mistakes. Usually we deliver a lot of value. We're popular not just because they like us, but because we deliver results.
Fantastic. Dane, I've asked everybody else, why SEO?
I mean, they covered it all. I mean, it's a fundamental piece. I mean, how do people find things? How do people discover insights? How do people educate themselves? How do people lead to purchases? It's all on search engines. It's all on that mobile device, on their laptop.
Every single thing is on search engines. Now, let me ask you, besides selling cars, what are your clients using SEO to do? What are they trying to accomplish besides selling cars?
So it's also can't forget about the fixed op side, right? There's profits there too.
There we go.
Let's not ignore that. So
the average car has been on the road for 14 years. We're going to need to fix those puppies.
Yeah, so we're focused on fixed ops content, breaking out pages that are relevant to different searches for different services that are needed, like oil changes, tires, batteries, brakes. Then it's also blog content, having some business blog content that are, what, why, when, how do you need, when do you need to know that you need to have new tires? Like there's all sorts of questions people have. And that's the big thing, is that part of it is being helpful to consumers before they necessarily need the car or the service. So it's being helpful, being a resource for them to keep you top of mind. So it's not just about selling cars, it's about service, but it's also about just being helpful to the consumer.
Because sales is one profit center, and service has rapidly overcome them in many areas. Greg, besides selling cars, what do we advertise? What do we market?
It's up to the dealer. That's another big thing about what we do with the customization is we're not taking the same cookie cutter SEO package and forcing it down every dealer's throat. One of the big things that we do is before we even get paid, we ask the dealer, what are your goals? Like, why are you talking to us? What do you want to do? Not every dealership's going to be the same. Some dealers want to expand their visibility to markets that are nearby. Some dealers want to push fixed stops. Some dealers really only want to push, cheap service to get people in the door. Some dealers want to do recruiting for service techs. Some dealers want to do buyback campaigns. There's all kinds of stuff we can do.
Slow down. Cheap service. We want to recruit employees, especially technicians, right?
Yep, we could do that too.
Do you have a package for that?
We don't do packages. Everything's customized. So yeah,
I knew that.
It's up to the dealers. So it's very common that with groups that we have where we've got multiple stores, we're even doing different things per store because each store is unique. And that's the important thing to remember when it comes to SEO. Every dealership is unique and every location is unique. So you can't do the same SEO to everybody. Again, coming back to that Ford in Dallas example, there's 20 Ford stores in the Dallas market. You have to do vastly different strategies and tactics for those stores than you do for a Ford guy in Wyoming, where there's no other competing Ford dealership for 100 miles in any direction. Totally different situations.
You have clients in Wyoming?
Yeah. So it doesn't make sense that everyone else just uses the same cookie cutter BS that they get because that's what they're used to. The power of customization is insane. Like, you can get really great results a lot faster than what you would get doing the cookie cutter stuff for years and years and years.
Because you have a staff large enough to do meaningful customization.
Exactly.
One thing I can note here specifically to this, and I can relate it to that scoring matrix that we do, is that one of the pieces is, do they have a blog? Yes. So that's the tactical part of it. But a note I made for myself is this dealer group that requested it. When I looked at their blog, it was the same blog, same headline, same content across the entire group. So, that's just one thing to identify. It was like, even though that's part of the strategy, not the tactics, I made a note for myself to be like, hey, you're getting just this cookie cutter standard blog that every dealer is getting, no matter their circumstances or needs.
No matter who you are, you're going to get total customization.
Yes.
Right.
That consultant diving in, looking at your needs, understanding your goals, your objectives, doing the keyword research, creating that content plan that's all based on just you as an individual store, not as a part of an aggregate or any sort of anything else. It's you as an individual store, even if you're part of a group.
So when they contact you, you look at their business plan, you look at their website, you look at their GMB, and you manage all of that?
Yeah, and it's both concurrent of optimizing current content and strategizing new content. So it's not just creating new things, it's about fixing things that already exist that need to be fixed. So concurrently, you have optimizations going on and a strategy for not only just where we're at, but where we're trying to go together as partners.
Expand on that again, Greg.
Well, I mean, the most important thing is the last word that he just said, partners. A lot of vendors aren't partners. They're just vendors, and they're there to collect a check from you every month and do some work and say it's beneficial. One of the other things that we talk about is we're not necessarily winning just because a dealership gets more traffic and more leads, because you could triple the traffic and triple the leads, but if it's bad traffic and unqualified leads, then the dealership's not going to be selling any more cars.
What is local SEO anyway?
Well, I mean, local SEO it's a different algorithm. So Google has multiple algorithms at play, and whenever somebody types something in, Google's going to assess the intent of what that person is looking for and then choose the right algorithm to return those results. So anything related to dealerships, Google's going to use its local algorithm because it knows that the intent of that customer is to buy from a local dealership. Now, sure, can you buy from Auto Trader or can you buy from a dealer in another state? Sure. But 99.9% of the time, you want to go to a local dealership so you can test drive that car and see that car before you purchase it. So Google's going to use the local algorithm. So local SEO is the strategies and tactics that approach optimizing for that particular algorithm. Now, there's overlap. The signals that matter to the local algorithm also matter to the traditional algorithm, but there's additional things that you need to do and things that you need to do slightly differently when it comes to local. So if a dealer's using a vendor that just does regular SEO, it's still potentially going to be beneficial, but it's nowhere near as beneficial as working with a vendor or having someone in-house that understands the local algorithm and all the intricacies there.
I just coined a new word. High octane SEO.
Nice. And Jim, there's something else we forgot to mention that we should totally
That's what I've been
talk
trying
about.
to get you to do. What else have we forgot to mention? Come on now.
We forgot to mention that Searchlab is doing our own conference next spring. So there used to be this really awesome conference series called Internet Battle Plan that unfortunately no longer happens. So we're bummed about that. We want to fill that hole. But no, I mean, if you think about
You're
it,
in the conference business. Wait a second. Talk. You dumbass. Why didn't you bring this out earlier?
I got so much going on, and I just got back from 2 weeks of travel. My brain's fried. But no, I mean, you've got Digital Dealer and twice a year, and you've got NADA. Those are the really big automotive conferences. Then you've got a lot of smaller things out there. But really, for most of the stuff out there now, even the bigger ones, it's kind of gotten away from this is an educational event for dealers. And it's more about that event trying to make money. And it's more about that event trying to get sponsors, trying to get vendors. I mean, let's put some stickers up on the side of the escalator and charge somebody $5,000 for that, so that the whoever's throwing the conference can make a boatload of money off the conference. And that's not what it's about. And that's why dealers have gotten so frustrated over the years.
Even the NADA convention is all about the vendors. I mean, I have walked down Cox Boulevard right in the middle of the convention center, and so you're gonna put on a conference that's about the dealers, for the dealers.
Exactly. And it's going to be very cheap. It's $300 for a ticket. All of the speakers have been invited to speak because they're all speakers that focus on education, not on, hey, I'm up here trying to pitch my stuff. None of those speakers are spending $20,000 to $25,000 for the opportunity to speak like you have to at some other conferences. And there will be no vendors present. Even the speakers that come from a vendor, there's no vendor tables. There are no tables there whatsoever. The only table that will be there is the Car Guy Coffee podcast, because those guys are going to be doing a live broadcast of the event while it's there. But other than that, we're not even going to have a Searchlab table there, even though it's our conference, because the entire thing is about let's throw an awesome educational event for dealers that's easy for dealers to attend and cheap to afford. That's what
where are you going to do this? Where's it going to be?
In Dallas, Texas on March 20th of next year.
March 20th, Dallas, Texas. The Searchlab what are you calling it?
It's Ignition is the name of the conference series.
Ignition, okay.
All right.
Who made that title? That you got a logo already created? What?
We're working on the logo. We haven't. I'm a designer in a past life, so I'm very picky about that sort of stuff. We haven't really found the right combination of visuals yet. We'll get there, but everything else is set. We know the venue, we know the date, we know the number of tickets we have available to sell, we know the ticket price. It's all there.
Dane, tell me about the conference.
Yeah, I mean, like Greg said, it's really focused on the dealer. It's sort of disrupting, right? That's the popular buzzword now, right? Disruption. It's disrupting the way that people are accustomed to conferences, and it's really going to be focused on just delivering that high quality, sort of advanced content that I think dealers are craving now, especially the progressive dealers that are really invested in with their digital advertising. So it's just going to be a different feel, a different aesthetic, a different approach. So I mean, people that want to come need to be ready to really ingest a lot of information.
Lot of work, I'll tell you that.
Oh, we know. But the other thing is, we're not going to waste people's time. Like, one of the keynotes at Digital Dealer last week was some gal from Pinterest up on the stage, and she literally told everybody in the room that dealers should be spending a minimum of $2,500 a month on Pinterest, which is the most ridiculous advice ever. It's the stupidest thing for a dealer to do. So we're not going to waste time talking about how to sell cars on TikTok or what you should be spending on Pinterest. Like, this is real educational content that will truly help your dealership. Not a bunch of buzzy, flashing, cool crap that people would care about if they think they want cool crap. Do what?
Stuff that works.
Stuff that works.
Stuff that really works. That's been proven to work.
Oh, shoot. Nobody does that.
Well, that's what this is going to do.
Unbelievable. Now you're in the conference business, Bealin. I mean, you're getting to be a regular Virgin Atlantic Branson type character. All these different industries. What are you doing?
I'm trying to keep up with you. You've got so much going on. So, well, I mean, I think one of the things that they said, I just want an underlying point is we really wanted to put ourselves in the shoes of the dealer and figure out what didn't they like about these conferences that are going on, and what did they like, and get rid of all the stuff. No pretension, no pushy sales pitch from vendors, just good content. And if we can do kind of like the working title for a while was the unconference, like it's going to be different than the other conferences that you go to, and just make this about education, right? Just really make this about us providing really good value to our customers. That's the exact same approach, Jim, that we have to our agency. So if it works for the agency, I have a feeling if we have the same sentiment that we're going to apply to the conference, we'll have success. If we put the dealers first, we put our customers at the center of it, and what can give them the most value, we'll have success. That's how we approach our agency. That's how we approach this.
We can definitely promote that, can't we? We can definitely promote that.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt to have.
And by the way, give me a call offline because I can help you with conferences. I've done quite a few of them.
I already have gotten some advice for you. So, I mean, ideally, we'd like this to be a traveling show. So we'll have to do this multiple times per year at different locations. This is the first one. So I don't like, we got to have success with this first one before we get too far down the road. But we want to do this in a big way. We want to make a splash, and we want to, it's a good word though. It's disrupt. We want to disrupt what's already going on in the conference circuit. Some things have gotten stale. Some things have gotten a little bit, overdone with the vendors and with the exhibitors. And I'm an exhibitor. I have no shame in that. But we want to return the value back to the dealer, and that's really what the show's all about. One
of the biggest pieces of advice I can give you on conferences is get away from the normal venues. Don't do the normal cities.
Okay.
When I was doing Internet Battle Plan and Greg spoke at how many of them, Greg? 6, 7?
A bunch of them. A lot of them. Like all of them for the last 4 or 5 years that you did them.
Well, we did 25 Internet Battle Plans, and the biggest results we had were in offbeat cities, Myrtle Beach, Cleveland. I mean, when we started doing them in cities that are off the normal circuit but had a good population around, that people could drive, it was the attendance of the seminars was incredible. Because we didn't do the Vegas and the normal Orlando, Tampa venues that everybody else is doing. Stay away from Chicago.
You don't need to tell me.
I love your city. Most corrupt place I ever tried to do a conference.
I love you. You don't need to tell me. I know. Yeah.
What have we not told people today? Dane Saville, start with you. We got the last 8 minutes of this. They can call or text the number on the screen and hook up with you guys. This is going to be all over social media in the next couple of days. 24 hours a day, they can call or text that number. What have we not told people?
God, I mean, what have we not covered? I think it's just an imparting piece is that, our goal is, and we say this when we talk to dealers, is that we want you to work with us because you want to, not because you have to. So there's no locking dealers in. There's no long-term contracts. It's we want to deliver the results. We want to build the partnership, build the relationship so that it's mutually beneficial and that it turns into something that's a long-term partnership. So again, we want you to want to work with us, not because you're locked into it.
Fantastic. Mark Bealin, anything we haven't said?
No, and I think the big thing is this is a big addition for us with Dane. And so I would be remiss if I didn't mention it a little bit more than we have so far. And we didn't promote this on Indeed or anything. We sent it out like on LinkedIn. We sent it out in our own personal link, social media. We had over 300 resumes for this position come in. And so we went through
everybody wants to be aboard with this team. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Everybody loves a winner. So, I mean, we had a huge response to this job posting. Went through a long process. I remember when Dane's resume came through, Greg said, I don't think Dane's ever even heard this before, but Greg said, "You're going to love him, but we have to go through a process. You can't just say yes right away." And I said, "You're right. He's all about process. We got to go through the process." I talked to Dane and I was like, "We got to hire him."
I also, if you look at the other part, I'm like, "You're going to love him. There's no way this is really going to end up happening. Like, sure, this can't end up happening." And then it happened. So,
I mean, for somebody with his bona fides as a speaker, as a podcaster, thought leader, and having the knowledge base in auto, there aren't 10 people like that out there. And so for us to add this resource onto our team is a big deal. And you're right, it did send shockwaves through automotive. Like everybody was talking about it the week we announced it. My phone was ringing, my social media was going crazy. It is a big deal for us to bring a thought leader of his caliber onto our team, and it just strengthens an already like really, really strong team. I think when we get to this conference series, we're going to have a lot of people. It doesn't hurt to have Greg Gifford, as the headliner of the show. People are going to show up to hear him talk. People are going to show up to hear Mark Irvin talk. People are going to show up to hear Dane talk, and it's because they've done it for a long period of time at a really high level. So I'm excited. I just didn't want to go by and not mention, like, this is a huge deal for us to have a new director of SEO. We're really excited, and so far it's exceeded my expectations working with Dane. He just fits in perfectly with our team and our culture.
Well, there's one person we left off this broadcast, and the reason we left him off is basically you are the three that attended Digital Dealer, and I wanted to get you guys on camera right after you got back from Digital Dealer. But Mark Irvin,
yep,
you got a guy that has been nationally recognized or internationally recognized by Microsoft. What is this? What is his title, Greg?
The Microsoft thing, or just Mark's title? Mark's the director of paid media for us, but he was chosen by Microsoft in 2019 as the most influential paid search expert in all of North America. And also in 2019, he was chosen by PPC Hero as the most influential PPC expert in the entire world. So he kind of knows what he's doing.
That probably would be most of the universe if they do PPC outside of our galaxy.
For sure.
Yeah, what the heck? So I sort of left you for last on this conversation. What would be the last thing as we get down to the last 3 minutes of our broadcast? What do you want to tell the people?
You want to break the news on who the speakers are going to be at our conference?
You already know that?
I already know that. We invited them all. So really cool that a lot of people will be excited about. The beard and the hair back. Sean Rains is going to be speaking along with me.
Oh my gosh.
So we've got me.
You ever see the movie Home Alone?
Oh, of course. Yes. So we've got Sean Rains, we've got myself, we've got Mark Irvin, we've got Dave Sponicky from Reunion, we've got George Ninny, we've got Eliana Raggio, and we've got Bobby Heron, all speaking at the event.
You got Bobby? Oh,
of course we got Bobby.
The queen of BBC, the queen of BDC. I mean, my gosh. One of my Eliana Raggio, my gosh.
Now we got big names. We're not screwing around.
Oh, it's got Sponicky. You got them all.
Oh, yeah.
Sean Rains.
It's going to be awesome.
You and Rains tag teamed at many of my internet battle plans.
Oh, yeah.
I am so pleased that we had this broadcast. People need to know more about Searchlab Digital. We're coming out. The industry is normalizing. Ladies and gentlemen, things are getting back to the way that they need to be. Cars are. I had a dealer the other day, Brett Sutherland. He said he's getting 123 Nissans. The dealers are getting inventory. The manufacturers are building and shipping again. It's going to normalize, and you're going to be competitive again. You haven't been competitive in so long, you forgot what being competitive is.
Yep.
you dealers, pay attention. You have forgotten how to be competitive, and you're going to have to be competitive again in fixed operations and in the variable operation in sales. Well, anyway, guys, I think we've had a great broadcast. Call or text the number at the bottom of your screen. We talked about many things about Searchlab. I think we wore the subject out for the time being, but this conference, Ignition, coming up in March, big name speakers. I'm excited. Nobody invited me.
Well,
you're invited.
If you'd like but you said you weren't traveling anymore, so I didn't even think to ask.
I'm not. I'm not traveling, but I still like to get invited. You
So,
know?
so you know what that means? That means we need to do one in your town so that we can have you there.
Oh, put one in Atlanta. Nobody's doing them in Atlanta. Atlanta's a big metro market. What the heck? Love you guys.
To do, then.
Wave bye to the audience.